conditioning, guys. What Rick is saying, I'll sum it up that way. Conditioning. Do you want to spend your whole half your cycle sore? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So you definitely want to, if you stop training entirely, that's great, okay? I mean, listen, I used to be one of those people who was like, oh, I'm against this. I'm against taking time off. I'm against vacations. But sometimes, shit happens in life. You might have a divorce. You might move. Your gym might close. That happens a lot, by the way, without notice. Sometimes you'll walk to your gym and you'll see a thing on the door, gym closed. What the fuck? Out of nowhere. So shit like that happens. You got to go find a new gym across town, yada, yada, yada. So sometimes you take time off. It's okay. You got to get back to conditioning. Get your conditioning back, and then you can hop on the gear. Now, let's say you've been working out a while, you got your conditioning, but you haven't used steroids in years. We actually had a guy on the forum today. He hopped on steroids. He hadn't used steroids in many, many years, maybe 5, 6, 7 years. You know what he said? He's like, I'm getting different side effects on steroids now. I'm feeling more impatient now. I'm having trouble sleeping now. Guys, our bodies change. Every 5 years, your body's going to consistently change. So the side effects that you had 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even a year ago, might not be the side effects that you experience down the line. So those are going to be one of the things to watch for. And that's okay, guys, because one of the cliches is steroids make your weaknesses worse. So if you've become an impatient guy in the past 5 years, for whatever reason, maybe you got married and had kids, and you had to, your mentality changed, and now you don't have any patience anymore for shit. Maybe you change your job. Maybe now you're the manager at your work. You're doing a career like that where you're responsible for a bunch of people who don't give a shit. So you got low patience and you hop on steroids. You're going to be even more impatient at work. You're going to be even more impatient with your kids, even more impatient with your wife, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the things to look for. If you haven't been on steroids a long time, just realize that shit changes in your life. So things are going to be different. So don't expect the same side effects you had 5 years ago to be now. Look for and expect things to be a little different. You got to adjust. It's an adjustment phase, and it's okay. And a lot of times, in my experience, not using steroids for a long period of time, maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years, and then going back on, especially if it's something androgenic, it feels almost like you're brand new to steroids again, because you're not used to those androgens. You're not used to that anabolic effects of hormones, of anabolic steroids. So you'll get a nice little bump. So taking a long time off from steroids is actually a good idea. You come back, you start fresh, you hit it. So those are some of the things that I've noticed when I've taken a long period off, and a lot of people on the forums have noticed. Anything else to add, Rick?
And one last thing, guys, about starting up again, which is very, very important. If you're starting up again, you need to spend some more time on the forums and catch up with what's going on now, with what people know about now, the drugs that are being used now, the methods that are being used now, because I'd say we've come a long way in being more sophisticated in the way we utilize these compounds in the last 10, 15 years. So definitely making sure you have a membership to the forums, make sure you can ask questions live. You're anonymous on the forums. The forums do not chase you back on Facebook and everywhere that you go. You can log in, ask your questions, use the search engine, and then once you leave the site, you're not being contacted again. So definitely forum membership. It's probably one of the most useful tools you can have to embark on this lifestyle, because you get to talk to other guys that are there just like you anonymously, discussing these compounds, and it's just what you need.
Yeah, it's a really good point, because a lot of shit's changed just in the past couple of years. So if you're not keeping up with it, you're going to end up like some of these bozos on social media who they've been around for 20, 30 years, and they still recommend using Letro on cycle. Those types of people that have no clue what they're talking about, because their information is 20 years outdated.